So how this drill
Yo, do that move again. Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
That's everything.
Let's go. Now I know where Elvis got his shit.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys, so check it out. I got my man Thomas Summers here, Summers Method, and he specializes in baseball-specific training, has a lot of big league names under his belt. So today we're gonna go over something that correlates over with fighting, which is rotational power. He's gonna show you guys a method and exact protocol that increases that rotational power. So Summers, take it away.
Today we're gonna go 3 exercises. This is a little cluster that I like to do with my baseball and softball athletes to prime your nervous system and almost trick it into producing more power towards the end of the set. The reason behind what we're doing right now is to basically trick the body into producing more power, more rotational power. So it's a 3 exercise complex. We're going back to back to back. So the first exercise in this complex is an isometric hold using one of these exercise balls. A bunch of different ways you can use isometrics. For this purpose, we want to get the athlete in the right position, sort of sport specific to what they're gonna do on the baseball field, or this transfers over to, throwing a punch. Biggest thing in baseball, in my sport, is how the lower half works. So doing this isometric, we wanna make sure that each leg is acting as it would, in a swing or if we're gonna throw. You can grab a rack or a wall, and I want you to set this up right outside your belly button. From here, we're gonna go straight arms. You can get the hands together, and I want you to get a wide base. In baseball, legs out, this front toe is gonna be out, that foot is forward. The goal here is as we're delivering the barrel, at contact point, that's where we wanna be. He's gonna drive his back knee down and rotate into the ball as hard as he can. As you're driving this back knee down, this front leg has to lock out. 3 big pumps, 4 to 8 seconds. Rotational power starts from the ground up. This exercise primes up your nervous system. When your brain tells your body to start doing something, to do a power exercise, you have a delay. That delay is what you call your electromechanical delay. If we can prime the nervous system through an isometric exercise like this, that delay is gonna be a lot quicker when you go into an explosive movement, so you're gonna get more out of it. So exercise number 2 in the complex, we're doing a band snap. I also like to utilize the exercise ball for this drill as well. So I have 2 bands set up, looped together. The reason I like using this exercise ball because it places the band further away from your center of mass, so you're gonna get more out of it as far as tension. Another reason I like it, a big mistake I see in hitters in baseball, is a lot of players like to cast their hands. We have our kinetic chain, how we produce rotational power, starts from the ground up before the hands go. With this, the athlete has no choice but to stay tight into that rotation, and he's not gonna cast his hands. Why? Because they're not moving. They're hugged tight on the ball. So it's all rotation from the ground up. You can get specific as you want with this. For baseball players, I like to open up and throw a hard break leg, but for fighters, it can be a little bit different. Name of the game, stand, pivot off that back leg, snap the band through as fast as possible. Good. So in baseball, the biggest thing is how each leg interacts with each other. A right-handed hitter, he's gonna drive off his right leg and land on his left. Goal is to stay on this back side and stop your momentum from going forward. You wanna turn behind the baseball. So with my baseball athletes, I work on throwing down this front side. So as this back knee drives down, this front knee locks out to bring me into rotation. So overhand, underhand, if I'm right-handed, I'm gonna open up and snap this side. If you looked at my head, it wouldn't drift, it would stay right in the same spot, but my lower half would rotate. So it's here, snap it. I like using the analogy, tires on a big truck. Just got my truck lifted, got these big tires on it. The gas mileage went up because it's harder to rotate those tires because they're further away from your center of mass. If we stay tight to our center of mass, rotation happens more efficiently. Now we're gonna go drop step into it and rotate. Same thing we just did on the bands. Drop step back, let the hips go, and let the upper half go, follow along, all right? We're gonna go 3 side. For the med balls with the baseball guys, I like using 4, 6, or 8 pounders. I don't like going heavier than that because the goal here is to throw this thing as fast and as explosive as possible. You wanna exaggerate throwing that hip as the upper half stays back, or even counter rotate into it. So as you begin to open up, you can counter rotate back to create that separation, and then it all goes. So here, you're loading, and then it all goes. Hips first, and then upper half. Big thing is keeping the same exact lower half as we did through the isos, through the concentric band snap, and then here.
All right, guys, so there you have it. We'll call it clusters. It's increasing explosive rotational power using an isometric, using a dynamic movement with accommodated resistance, and then a ballistic movement outside where you can get that compensatory acceleration factor. Now,
exactly.
Why would you do this? And also, when would you put this into a particular training program, let's say for baseball players?
Typically with this, I would do towards the end of an off season just to get, everything revved up before they head out to camp. Because I believe right before you're doing any sort of potentiation with isos, I feel like you need to build a base first in the weight room. A big reason that I do use this cluster is for the lower half. In isometrics, we can hold that position and make sure everything's working fine. Baseball, we have our gas leg, our brake leg. In this drill, if you noticed, I was so keen, I was solely focusing on, hey, how's that back knee compared to the front side? Because that's everything in generating rotational power through a swing. So doing it isometrically, where they're not moving through it, is gonna set that in the back of their head. Hopefully carry it over to the movement where we're doing the band snaps, carrying that over at a higher velocity so we can get into those same positions. Then when we go outside with the underloaded med ball at max velocity, hopefully it transfers to that, and ultimately that doesn't mean anything unless we can transfer that into the bat swing, right? Sure. Putting you in a proper position in a controlled environment so it subconsciously carries over to the baseball field. I like to do 3 to 6 rounds of that right at the beginning of a training session after your movement prep. For the isometric exercise in the beginning, I like holding 3 rounds at that same spot for 4 to 6 seconds. Then we'll go ahead into the band snaps, a set of 3 each side, then out to the wall with the medicine ball, a set of 3 as well. I like doing 4 to 6 rounds of that. Biggest thing doing anything potentiation, what the research shows, we gotta have optimal work to rest ratio because we don't want to let that fatigue outweigh the potentiation. In that complex, you don't need to hustle to each exercise. You can walk out there, recoup, and then a big rest, 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes before you go back through that cluster again.
Let's face it, baseball players get to rest a lot.
Yeah, he's right.
I'm just playing. Thanks a lot, my brother.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
you. Make sure you follow
Yes,
Summers Method. That's the Instagram, right?
Yeah, Summers Method Instagram, Summers Method YouTube as well.
Kaylin, you guys know. Go ahead, Kaylin. What's your Instagram?
Coach.K_.
Stay tuned. We got the podcast coming out with Summers too as well, going over his entire journey on training the most elite level baseball players in the world. And also make sure you subscribe, hit the notification, hit the like button, all that good stuff. See you again next time. Peace.